Hey everyone, back again with another video, and we're doing a anime slash manga comparison for Ajin. And before we go in further, let me do a quick recap for anyone new watching this. If you haven't watched the other previous video, Kei Nagai was a normal student studying to become a doctor, till one day he got struck by a truck and he should have died that day. But after being hit by the truck, he would end up resurrecting and being revealed that he is a Ajin, basically a demi-human who's basically, they are hard to die basically. And with that being found out, he ended up getting a bounty on him with everyone just wanting to capture him. And he's basically on the run from the authorities and crazy Ajin man called Sato, and we'll get more into that. Now, while rereading and rewatching the anime and manga like a handful of times and also looking up a good amount of information, it seemed like season 1 was like more kind of faithful to the manga, and probably like the last 2 episodes were different, while season 2 changed like a lot. There was like a good few little scenes that were somewhat similar, but everything else besides those scenes were just different for season 2. Like, for example, everything like from season 1 when Kei got hit by the truck, he resurrects, gets hunted down, and finds his old friend Kaito. Kaito helps him escape. He ends up leaving Kaito, ends up finding Sato instead. Sato tricks him and lets him get captured by the little Ajin task force. Forgot their little name for the Ajins. He gets captured. Sato saves him and tries to make him be like hatred towards the humans, but it failed and ends up Sato wanting to like hunt him down. Well, kind of in a way, because at the same time Sato was already doing like his little plan to get more people to join him and to actually like start attacking the humans. Then also like the same thing from season 1 was just like how Nagai is like more running away, trying to hide in the little village, making sure Sato doesn't find him. He ends up finding Nakano and ends up teaming up with Tosaki and Izumi. But yeah, that was all basically the same. The only thing that was, I guess you could say, were different is just how towards the end, season 1 was when the man who like reported Nagai from the little village, he did in the anime was just report him. Well, in the manga, while he did report them, he shot Nagai with the weapon, and of course Nagai's a Ajin, so he resurrected, and all the other villagers were afraid of him after that. And then of course him teaming up with Tosaki, Izumi, all that was the same. In season 2, of course, this was like already somewhat similar little things. It's just how these training Nagai and Nakano, because the only 3 Ajins in that little group with Tosaki is, like I said before, Nagai, Nakano, and Izumi, while the rest are humans. So they had to beat Sato or capture Sato at least. You need the other 2 to be well trained, because Izumi is already trained. And while this is like similar, the little difference we get to see right away is in the manga, while that little training is happening, we see Izumi's like backstory, and anime we see her backstory too. It's just how both approached her backstory, because in the anime Tosaki would end up getting like captured by two agents from the US branch, and they just captured him because they feel like he was lying about something. And that's when Izumi, when they're trying to save him, Izumi had her backstory of how when she first met Tosaki, when she discovered she was Najin, her tragic backstory, of course. And on the manga, that never happened. Tosaki never got captured by anyone. It just appeared randomly, her backstory. Her backstory is the same, by the way. It's still a tragic backstory, so I mean, can't really go into it. It's just a lot that happens to her when she discovers she's an Ajin. So yeah. Speaking of backstories, we also see Sato's backstories in the manga. With Sato's backstories, of course, when you see him in the manga, we first see that he isn't a normal person, of course. He wasn't a normal kid in the first place. His dad was like abusive, and Sato was, let's just say he wasn't nice to animals. I guess that's like the easiest way to say on what he's done when he was younger. But moving on, We first see from one of his backstories, it's a point of view of, I guess, one of his old like army buddies he knew back then, like talking to Tosaki and how Sato was during that time. Because we do see how Sato first joined, and then 2 weeks after that, they were saying, oh, like he left because health issues, but in reality, he was recruited for like an elite group and was actually like leading that group after a while. And that same war buddy will actually end up joining Sato's team. And there was one time in one of their missions, Sato and his team had to save like a fellow soldier in enemy grounds, and they had to be super stealthy, and they did it perfectly. But Sato, if you've seen the anime or read the manga, you know the type of person Sato is. He basically loves a challenge, and this was too easy for him when they saved their fellow soldier. Even though it was supposed to be stealthy, he just felt so easy for him. So he ends up just shooting his gun, and he didn't hit anyone, but he shot his gun, alerting the enemy, and him and his team had to fight just a whole bunch of enemy soldiers. And if I recall correctly, I think they lost one of their soldiers. I think another was injured, and Sato was also injured. But Sato basically got injured because of a grenade, losing one of his feet. And after his injury, he was discharged, and he's basically spent most of his time playing video games till his uncle like flew him to Japan to be with him. And what ended up happening to his uncle is just part of the Yakuza, and let's just say his uncle just got taken down by enemy Yakuza, and Sato just ended up becoming like an enemy of the underground because he defended himself and surviving from the attack, and ended up becoming a real menace in the underground. We ended up seeing him show that he's an Ajin during his backstory as well. But moving on, we'll get to Sato more down the line. But let's talk about, I guess we could say, this, of course, this happened in the manga, and anime is just, it gets towards the end of it is different. And what I mean is when Kaito was in prison, him meeting Takeshi, I don't know how to say his name, the wing Ajin, that's what I know him more by, but I guess I'll just call him that because I struggle with his name. I'm not good with names. Anyway, everything like was so much similar on how the winged Ajin Takeshi came back after escaping, and then of course the fellow prisoners like trying to ask him like, how'd you get out, but he never really told him anything. And of course they would try to beat him up, try to get the information out of him, and Kai, being Kai, trying to stand up for him, trying to fight back against those bullies in prison. And first of all, living Ajin Takeshi was like, whatever, he's just getting himself into trouble, even though he shouldn't really be doing that. He should mind his own business. And again, when he gets beaten up by the prisoners again at night, Kaito comes to the rescue and tries to help him, but in the end, the winged Ajin uses his black ghost to get rid of, just knock out the bullies. And then that was all basically similar, especially when how they end up meet up in the courtyard. I think that's what it's called, share cigars. And he would end up telling Kaito the same thing, their same conversation, until also telling them, I'll do it for you once, but if you ever want to escape from here, just let me know. And of course, that's like similar. The only thing that's different from them escaping prison is that in the manga, Kaito was the only one that escaped, basically. The winged Ajin basically only let Kaito escape. He didn't escape with him. Like in the anime, he went with him and they escaped together. But so that's like the only thing that's different. But we'll get more into that later, because the only thing that's different is that when they escaped in the anime, Kaito basically saves Nagai in a hospital with Nagai's sister when they're being attacked by a small mob. While in the manga, it's like way towards the end when Kaito comes in to like save Nagai in the split second against Sato, but it doesn't work in the end. But we'll get to more of that when we get to the end. Anyway, the next thing on our list, which is big fight between Nagai's team as Sato's team. But first, like something that wasn't in the manga, anime, is when planning for this mission, Nagai will have like a little bad dream that Sato just shows up in a helicopter and starts attacking him. But again, it was a bad dream. And when it comes to the actual mission, it's like how both teams take their approach is what's mostly different. Well, starts off as different. Of course, there's a lot of differences in this big mission they had, but of course, it starts off on how they approached it. Like the animes, they approached it differently than the manga did. Like, for example, Sato's team in the anime, they basically went like right off the bat and just went in attacking, and Nagai's team was already ready in the building, like waiting for Sato to show up. But in the manga, Sato's team was led by Tanaka because Sato was just didn't really want to go, so he had Tanaka do it. And basically they had one of their members like sneak in, start a little fire to like get everyone distracted, like, oh, it's just a little fire, whatever, we'll get it cleared out right now. Which Nagai was like, yeah, that's not a fire, that's them. He already knew what was going on. He knew that they're gonna do something to get all the other guards off their back. So of course Nagai told them, let's go, that they're already going in. So Nagai's team, when it comes to their side, they took the sneak approach. And of course in the manga and anime, they encounter each other and start fighting, because that's the same. The thing is, when Tanaka and his team were already on the move attacking, while some of Nagai's teammates were like, a team was guarding the target that Sato and Tanaka are after, Nagai would think of a plan to like actually capture Tanaka and his team, which actually worked by trapping Tanaka and the others. But they saw that Sato wasn't there with them, so they had to lure him out, of course. So how they do that? They just had one of their members try to call for backup. And here's one quick note. I think when it comes to the manga, I feel like some of the characters like Nagai and Sato were a lot more creative on how they used their like power, because in the anime we didn't really see them do this much. But let me explain more. Because first, I don't know why Sato like thought of this as an idea, but it worked, I guess. But he would just cut off his hand and he would fry it. Yes, you heard me right. And he had a delivery guy deliver the food, and it was confusing for like the guards there, like, who ordered food? Like, okay, but they brought it in. And at the same time, when they were opening the food, Sato, unalived himself, and when he like regenerated, he regenerated where his hand was, and his hand was at the base with all the guards. He just regenerated there, which is like, okay, which is why I say in the anime we didn't see this much. In the manga we see them being a lot more creative in how they use their power. Anyway, when doing that, he would of course start causing trouble. He causes an explosion on one of the floors and turns off the power. Ends up saving Tanaka, Takahashi, Ukuyama, and Jin before eliminating all the guards that are in the building trying to find his target. Hirasawa, I think I said his name right, and his team, of course, they would counter Sato and fight him. While Nagai, since he heard about the news, Nagai is trying to catch up to them because he has to help them to capture Sato. Many things will get in his way while he's trying to catch up to the same room they are in. And of course, Hirasawa and his team would do their best to hold off Sato, do their very best in fighting, knocking him out with the tranquilizer dart, and then using the sprinklers in the room to stop his ghost from moving. But like an anime, it did not work. It would start attacking and eliminating them, but not Urasawa, because Nagai would show up in time to push him out of the way. Then he tries to take him on, but that did not go as well. He would get knocked out by Sato, and Sato would go eliminate one of the targets. And when he did, he would try to go find the other target, but he did not know that Tanaka was already with the other target, actually trying to keep her safe. And Sato would show up, first shooting Tanaka because he didn't know Tanaka was in the whole fake
officer outfit, Tanaka would like step in front of the target and state that he knows that they made the list, but they shouldn't eliminate her. And surprisingly, Sato went along with it and just went back to mess with Nagai. But Nagai, Nakano, and Harizawa would get to the roof at that moment already. They would be informed that the mission is a fail and they need to escape. So Harizawa would have them jump off the roof, but of course Nagai would not want to leave even after Sato comes back to fight them. So Harizawa was like, you know what? He would make the tough decision and he would shoot Nagai off the roof because of course Nagai is Najin. He would live from that. And that's like the only way he could have Nagai escape from Sato, because that's what Sato was going after, Nagai. But he was already injured, Harizawa, because even though he got pushed out of the way, Sato still managed to shoot him. And since Harizawa was already coming to his like wounds slowly, he just decided, you know what, he wanted to fight Sato one-on-one. And you know what, Sato basically just said okay, and just put up his hands. They went. I wish this was in the anime. I wish we were able to see this fight in the manga, but they just didn't show it, sadly. Harizawa would lose, and as it went on, Nagai and Nakano trying to escape, because after landing or regenerating, could say, because falling off the roof, they will find a vehicle and just escape. And once they escaped, they would stop driving and just go on foot, because the vehicle was marked and a lot of officers were gonna go after that vehicle. But of course, like in the anime, Nagai will of course be like, I'm done, I give up, and he would leave. Now remember when I said when Kai escaped, well, in the anime, when he did save Nagai, this was like basically around the same time. Nagai left. Nagai was just like on his own until he decided to go help his sister. And at that same moment when he heard how she was gonna get attacked by a small mob. While trying to save her, that's when Kai shows up to help him. And while escaping with Kai and the winged Ajin, he would decide, you know what, I'm gonna go back. So he would have them stop and tell them, oh, I gotta do something really quick. But in reality, he would just steal a motorcycle and take off back to the others to help him stop Sato. And in the manga, what made him go back was not his sister, not Kai, it was his mother, I guess you could say, because his mother was with his sister at the moment, taking care of her, and he would actually call her up. He'd go to a normal phone that's just there and call her up and talk to her. Yeah, there was like a little back and forth, but there was just something talking to her just made him go back and decided, you know what, this has to end. I'm gonna put an end to this now. And that's basically one of the main differences from the anime and manga. But anyway, when he does go back, we do see how Tanaka would question Sato's methods, but he was the only one in the manga to question Sato while the others didn't. But in the anime, it was like all four of them, like Tanaka, Okuyama, Jin, and Takahashi. I'm sorry if I'm saying their names wrong. I'm doing the best I can. You all would question Sato in the anime, but Tanaka was the only one to come back to Sato and help him in the anime, while the other three would end up joining Nagai. While in the manga, it was reversed. While in the final fight, the anime, Sato and Tanaka would fight Nagai and his team underground, while in the manga, Sato would attack some festival that was taking place in in a base for the army. Okay, now I'm going to do my best to explain both final fights and the endings as fast as I can. In the manga, when Sato was attacking the festival that's in the military base, he basically had a lot of access to a ton of weapons, which he ended up using on all the soldiers there. And I don't know how much I could show, but I'll just show the best I can. And he would end up also having other allies to start just attacking the base from the outside as he continued to attack from the inside. But at this point, Nagai would sneak into the base and the others would slowly start to take down Sato's allies. While Sato was eliminating the last of his targets by climbing into jets and crashing into the targets. Anyway, this basically just leads up to the final fight between Sato and Nagai. While in the anime, again, the fight was underground subway and basically Nagai had to use the flood to beat Sato because Well, after the whole him and his team fighting Sato and Tanaka, they got to a point where they were trapped and they were losing to Sato, of course. So during the fight between Nagai and Sato, and having Nagai create the flood and using that to defeat Sato. That's in the anime. Wow. Going back in the manga, either Sato would like eliminate his targets, he would end up going after Nagai by flying a jet right into him. Of course, they would regenerate, and Sato would basically tell Nagai like, well, I already finished what I'm supposed to do. Like, I already got my targets. Like, he got bored. He got bored already. That's how Sato is. He got bored with what he was doing. He finished what he was doing. He's like, I'm done. I have nothing else to do. So I'm just gonna leave. He was telling him goodbye. This is when Kai shows up and would drive the motorcycle into Sato. Then Nagai will find that chance to shoot Sato with a tranquilizer dart. But Sato, of course, would have something up his sleeve and just blow himself up, which of course would hurt Nagai as well. But of course they regenerated, but Sato will regenerate somewhere else. And instead of using that chance to escape, Nagai would just be talking to Kai. Why? I don't know. But while using that little chance to catch up, Sato would shoot Nagai, and that bullet would also hit Kai. While Nagai was degenerating because he got shot in the head, he was seeing Kai's lifeless body there, which would end up causing Nagai to create a flood. Now, seeing this would cause Sato to think of something, because while them fighting the flood, he would have his ghost headbutt one of Nagai's, and somehow that would make Sato create his own dang flood, which all of them just start attacking everyone, and I mean everyone. And Sato was just having fun while that was happening. Of course, Sato would escape and have his ghost pick him up in a helicopter, but Nagai would try to stop him, but both end up falling off the helicopter, and from that fall, Nagai would hit his head and lose his memories, which is like a bit weird when I explain this, but Nagai won't like remember who Sato was because he lost his memories because he had hit his head. But while looking through the bag he had, and Sato was just, oh, okay, you don't remember me? Okay. Sato was escaping already. But at that moment, that guy would like bring out a weapon from his bag and start remembering something and use it on himself so he could regenerate and get all his memories back. Which is just sometimes question that little scene, but it's, I guess. But anyway, after remembering, he would run after Sato and manage to catch up with them at a little lake. And at this point, it would seem like Sato just ended up surrendering because he would not put up a fight at this point because Sato was just telling him, alright, bring it. Like, Nagai would just run full speed towards him and tackle him into the lake. I don't recall if he had a dart in his hand or something to like have Sato just like pass out, because Sato was just passed out after that, and he would just drag him out from the lake. And I forgot the little group that's supposed to handle the Ajins, I forgot what they're called, they will come in and just take Sato passed out body from Nagai and like, alright, thanks, and leave it at that. But in the anime, during the final fight, of course, Nagai used the flood to defeat Sato and use that chance to, once defeated, that's when the same group will show up and capture Sato and Tanaka. So that's like a big difference in how the bullfights ended. Their routes took big differences. Anyway, the ending. The anime, after being captured, I can't recall how much time passed, but Sato, of course, would end up escaping with Tanaka. They were being transported somewhere, and just like that, Sato just had a plan up his sleeve, and it managed to make them escape. Well, in the manga, how do I say this? In the manga, the time skip actually did happen, and where they actually have Sato captured in is like a little prison thing or case thing where it's just prevents him from doing anything, so he's stuck there forever. So yeah, Sato in that manga was actually captured for real and no way is of escaping, and having the main character like Nagai and all his friends actually like living a good life after that. Even Tanaka got to live his own life. So yeah, anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that because you finally reached the end. If you watched it all the way through the end, thank you so much, and I hope you actually enjoyed this little video. Now, before I end this actual video, I just wanted to do a quick shout out to Ours Creation for making this new banner for this channel. Their link will be in the description. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you all